Hi folks, in this video I want to take a quick look at how to use your data sheet. Now this is one of the course PDF files that you downloaded and hopefully printed up. And so if you haven't done that already, go ahead and print up the data record sheet, and it should look something like this. You should see actual time at the top. You should see the same feed, water, and walk from our original schedule. And then in addition to that, you should see urine and stool outside, mistakes inside, and wear inside. We're going to talk about all of this. The importance of this record keeping, I can't really stress enough. This is where you're going to figure out what's going on with your dog, and you're going to learn to see the patterns that develop in your dog's progress, so that you can kind of work through any problems that arise. One thing you don't want to do is you don't want to end up in a situation where you're flying blind all the time. So, there are going to be times when things happen. So let's just take a look at what we're talking about here. First of all, you've got your actual time. So this is going to be the times on the schedule that you've already written down. You'll notice this is the same sample schedule that we came up with for our sample scenario. These are all the same times. And so this is going to be the actual time, whether you got up later, and we'll talk about that in a second. These are going to be the same times that you fed, watered, and walked before. But now what you're going to do is you're not only going to keep a record of the actual times that you did things and how they may differ from the schedule that you originally created, but you also want to keep a record of when your dog went outside. Did he do his urine? Did he do his urine and his stool? Did he do just a stool? Write these things down so that you can see what patterns develop. If you start to see patterns like every time you take him out at a certain time, he only does urine, but then he tries to do a stool inside, that could indicate that he's getting outside, getting distracted, and then he's remembering when you bring him back inside that he's got to finish his potty business, and he does it inside on the floor. That means you may need to spend some more time encouraging him, getting him to understand that he can't be distracted, correcting him for the distractions, whatever the case may be. If he has an accident inside, you need to write down where or what kind of accident it is inside, and then where inside it is. The reason you want to do this is so that you can determine if there's patterns that may lead to a scent association. Maybe it's a certain area of the house that didn't get cleaned well enough. Maybe it's a certain rug. Maybe it's an association that started off as a scent association. You clean the house really well, but now you need to start putting some gates up or something to maybe keep your dog out of a certain room, because that room has now turned into a psychological association with bathroom area because the scent that was down before you started cleaning. So, these patterns are going to develop. Now, let's just pretend, we're going to kind of run through this. It's, a Monday, and you had a really rough weekend, you're really tired, and you forget to set the alarm Sunday night. And instead of getting up at 6 a.m., you got up at 6:45. So you're half an hour late or 45 minutes late. Now, that's probably going to push your schedule down. You also might find that you had a urine and a stool accident waiting for you in the crate. Now, because it puts your schedule down, your next time out with your dog's probably not going to be until 7:15, simply because you're 45 minutes late getting up. You still got to get dressed and get ready for work, maybe deal with family, what have you. And that pushes your leaving time to 7:45 instead of, the 7:15 you normally do, or 7:30. The point here is now your whole schedule has changed. It may cause problems when you come home later if you have to work later to make up for the extra time, and now you find another urine mistake in the crate. What I'm trying to show you with this is by keeping a record, you're going to know when you look back at this information that this was your fault. You woke up late, you ended up doing everything on your schedule late, and even though you were able to make it back in time for the 12 o'clock and the 12:45, you still ended up coming home late because you had to spend that extra time in the office, Now you've ended up with a urine in the crate as an accident. That's not your dog's fault. Now, on the other hand, let's just say that you woke up and there was already a urine and a stool in the crate. That's your dog's fault. That means you may need to start waking up a little bit earlier, getting your dog out, and then incrementally building your dog into the time that you wake up. So let's say, for example, your dog can't hold it. It's a younger puppy or it's an older dog that's just having a hard time with this. And at 5:30, there's, noise coming from the crate, and, you can tell your dog really needs to go out, but you kind of roll over and slough it off and go back to sleep. If you find an accident, that was his way of letting you know, look, guys, I got to go outside right now. There is no time to wait. What you may need to do is wake up early for a few days, get your dog outside, but before you get your dog outside, wake up, correct your dog, wait 5 minutes, and then take your dog out to go to the bathroom. Make them hold it that extra 5 minutes, and then over the next few days, increase that time. An additional 5 minutes, an additional 5 minutes, until finally you're at the point where you're waking up where you want to wake up. So that's kind of how you want to look at this. This is going to give you actual information that you can look at and start working through how you're going to take the next step, how you're going to solve certain problems, how you're going to deal with certain issues. When you start to see patterns develop, think about them logically. Don't just look at all of this and go, whatever, I'm just going to keep taking them out. Don't do that. You've got to look at this from the standpoint of what is this information that you're keeping record of trying to tell you about your dog's situation. Your dog can't talk to you. Your dog can't communicate verbally. Your dog can only do the things that your dog does, and you can only take whatever information you have at hand, look at it, and logically try to figure out what is it that my dog's trying to tell me by his actions. If there are accidents at certain times of the day, maybe you need to look at the way your schedule is set up. Maybe you need to look at where your water is being given, where your food is being given, make adjustments accordingly. But by keeping this information on a day-to-day basis, and you're going to probably need more than one sheet, so print up a bunch of them, but keeping this information on a day-to-day basis and having a record allows you to go back over and look for different patterns that develop. Now, on the good end of this, I know this is kind of the sorry end, but on the good end of this, now we're going to go back to our data sheet, okay, and I've erased all the stuff that we just did. Let's just say after a few weeks, you're looking at your data sheet and you go, you know what? I'm noticing something. At 10 p.m., my dog doesn't really go to the bathroom. So you eliminate that. And maybe you notice a pattern a little bit later. Wow, I can go ahead and eliminate that time too at 8. Next thing you know, wow, I don't need to worry about 6:30. And before you know it, you have the basics of a decent schedule. Okay? That's because you kept a record sheet. You're not guessing now. You're actually looking at information, taking that information, using your common sense, using the things that I've taught you in this course, and you're working through it logically and saying, you know what? My dog doesn't need to go to the bathroom at 8. I can go ahead and remove that time. My dog doesn't need to go to the bathroom at 7:30, or at 6:30, I should say, or at 10, or at 9, or what have you. And all of a sudden, instead of having a schedule that drains you because you're constantly taking your dog outside, you've got a normal schedule that anybody can live with. Get their dog outside, their dog's happy, you're happy, there's plenty of, fun time. And anytime you need to take your dog outside in between these times, even after your dog is trained, that's fine, as long as your dog knows to hold it in between the times that, you've gotten down for your schedule. So this is how you use your data sheet. This is why your data sheet is so important. And if you will use this, and trust me, a lot of people have gone through my course and not used the data sheet, and even though they've been fairly successful, they've not really attained the success as the people that use it. So use the data sheet, think about these things logically and work through them. And I think you're really going to do a good job with this. It's not rocket science, okay? Anybody can do this, but you have to really determine yourself that every day you're going to write this information down. Just make your check marks or X marks or paw prints or whatever you want to put in there, and make sure that you keep a record of this so you can go back over it and really figure out what's going on. So I will see you on the next video, and good luck.